Good evening and welcome to tonight's third edition of TCTV. Now today we're going to be joined by Mary and Stephanie from Discover the World, and they represent some amazing niche cruising products all over the world. So let's get into it and we'll see you all soon. Hello, and today we're joined by Mary from Discover the World, and she's representing Hurtigruten. So
yes.
Welcome Mary, how are you doing?
Good, thank you, Jonathan. I'm very good. Thank you.
So it's great to have you in for this very, very special session. So thanks to everyone who's watching. Like I say, representing Hurtigruten. So give us a little bit of an idea of who Hurtigruten are and what they're all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Hurtigruten started about 120 years ago as we used to call them working ship, and there's about 11 ships that sail up and down the rugged coastline of Norway.
Okay.
And so, as I said to you before, 120 years ago, they were mainly ships that would take produce and postal service to far-off communities, which was only served by sea, was not accessible by land. That's how it started, and then they slowly started to take passengers on board. And now it's a dual-purpose ship, so you actually get to see the working side of the ship.
Oh, really? So it's still actually
absolutely.
a working ship?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so you still get to see them unload and offload cargo and stuff like that, postal service, and they still have passengers on board that go to, experience Norway and get to, as close to the rugged coastline of Norway as you possibly can get.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
that's
a
very unique.
very unique, and hence Hurtigruten offers a very, very unique experience. The only way to perhaps see and experience Norway and the Norwegian people and its culture.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. I didn't even know that myself.
Yeah,
so that's a great little tip there.
There's a lot of history there. Yes.
Yeah, and like I say, over 120 years old.
Yes.
That's obviously well versed in everything that's happening over in the the region. And like you say, with the working ships, it's a really unique product.
Yes, absolutely. And Hurtigruten basically is the only ship that will take you very close to the fjords. In fact, 3 of the fjords are the only fjords that's served by the Hurtigruten ship.
Wow, very nice. So I know we've talked about, the destinations which are their bread and butter being, Norway and up around that region. So I know that's the bread and butter of what Hurtigruten do, but there's a lot more as well. There's a few other destinations that you're starting to get into as well.
Absolutely. Actually, if those of you didn't know, Norwegians were the first explorers into the South Pole.
Yeah, little history
so it's always
lesson
been
as well.
Absolutely. So they've always known to be the explorer and the adventurous people, and hence it works so well when you tie up, Hurtigruten with expedition, and hence they do expedition-style, programs and itineraries. So they go to Greenland, they go to Spitsbergen, they go to Iceland, and that is your Arctic, and then you've got Antarctica as well.
A lot of people don't.
Absolutely, and they've been doing that for a long time. And they've the ship that does the expedition, the MS Fram, is basically the same ship, or named after the same ship, that the Norwegian explorers first went to the South Pole.
Okay.
So again, there's such a strong history there and belief that we can offer you the best expedition-style itinerary. So besides Norway, those are areas that we also specialize in, the Arctic and the Antarctica.
Absolutely, all the nice cold regions, isn't it?
Oh yes, absolutely. But you don't feel cold at all because the ships are so centrally heated.
They'd be well insulated.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nice
yeah, totally. And I feel very cold, but I can certainly say that there wasn't one point until you actually go out in the deck that you actually you freeze. But it's very well insulated. Yeah.
Very nice. So we've talked about the destinations, we've talked about a bit of the history. Once you are on board a Hurtigruten vessel, what type of experience are you going to have? Like you say, I know you've said a couple of things being more expedition-based and getting into destinations, but what's a typical day on board and the on-board experience on a Hurtigruten cruise like?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, Hurtigruten is not one of those ships that offers you the full Broadway shows and the huge entertainment.
Yeah. So it is very, very different.
It is very
from that.
destination
it's not like
focused.
Your Royal Caribbeans with big Broadway shows
No.
like you mentioned, or anything
Absolutely
like that.
not. It is, and this is why we offer such a unique experience,
Yeah.
because we don't offer those shows. What the entertainment is really the nature around you.
And the destination.
It is a destination, and you spend, in for example, in Norway, you visit 34 ports. So really there is possibly no time for onboard entertainment. There is a pianist on board who comes and plays, but generally you meet like-minded people. You spend time with each other.
Sure.
You bond over the same likes and dislikes, and more likes than dislikes. And you have a little library on board that you can either sit and read, or you can watch movies, or even sit in panorama deck and take a whole nice view of the
just
fjords.
watch the world.
Absolutely, and it's really such a beautiful. That's why Hurtigruten is called the world's most beautiful voyage.
Yeah.
So no, clients should not be expecting the big Broadway shows or the casinos. It's primarily for people.
So life on board a Hurtigruten ship, I know we talked about being a little bit more expedition-based. Talk us through, I guess, some of the features, and I know that there's some guest speakers on cruises and things like that. It's really much an educational process as well for the client, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Like for the coastal voyage, you have the tour leader who will give you a little bit of history on Viking and the shore excursions you're going to take on board. But for MS Fram, which is our expedition vessel, you actually have a English-speaking expedition team that comprises of your lecturers and your geologists and environmentalists. So they give you lectures on board as well as take you on shore for your landing. So it's definitely, it's not one of those experiences where you're just, out there and doing the landing and you have no idea.
Yeah, it's like, all right, you get off and
exactly.
Where do I go? What do I do?
What do I do? Or what are these whales? Or, so definitely there are, full English-speaking expedition team, one of the best.
Sure, and like you say, they're walking you through the environment. They're showing you, what type of bird that is or what type of whale that is, and speaking you through the whole process.
Absolutely. They give you the whole, the history behind, obviously, the feeding habitat of the whales and the penguins and things like that. So absolutely, you don't feel as if you're just going out there and looking at animals and coming back. You know what I mean? You couldn't go to a zoo for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's absolutely totally. It's a very holistic experience.
Sure. And with the shore excursions and activities when you are in port, I know you mentioned, there's over 34 different ports that you stop off along just in Norway. Is there a range of activities and different, shore excursions going when you do step off?
Absolutely, and that is the way you actually really get to immerse yourself in the local culture. We offer over 40 shore excursions. Wow. And obviously it's highly recommended that clients do the shore excursions, which needs to be pre-booked prior to departure. And some of the shore excursions are very unique to certain times of the year. For example, if you were going in summertime, northern summertime, you would have to do some of the shore excursions like Geiranger Fjord, which is a World Heritage listed. If you went in wintertime, you'd definitely be wanting to do the dog sledding, which is up in Tromsø. So these are, again, some are very unique experiences only, to Norway. And then for the MS Fram, which is the expedition, majority of the shore excursions are included within the price. And again, it's highly recommended, obviously, that clients, even though they are included, they must be pre-booked. With the Norway coastal programs, you have to buy the shore excursions on top.
And that's just an add-on, and like you say, you pre-book it to be able to have it all sorted before you travel.
Yes, highly recommended that you pre-book all of the shore excursions.
Yeah, that's great. And in terms, I know we've talked about the onboard experience, but you've got to be fed, you've got to be, well watered along the way. What's the food and beverage, state of play? I know that there's so many different options out there in dining in different cruise, places around the world. What can you experience on board with Hurtigruten?
Sure, very simple. Firstly, Hurtigruten supports its, local culture, local people. So the food is freshly sourced and locally produced. So whatever food that you're getting on board on any of the 11 ships of Hurtigruten that does the coastal voyage, it's all fresh. I can tell you that any vegetarian out there does not have to be afraid saying things that, oh my God, I'm not going to get any vegetarian food.
Sure.
There's just so many different types of salads and seafood galore. We have one restaurant on board on the ships, as well as cafes, and that restaurant serves your buffet style breakfast and lunch, and you have the sit down meal for the dinner.
Yeah.
So that's generally with what our 11 ships offer in the coastal voyage, whereas MS Fram is about similar. So, but it's very, very informal dining. You don't have to take this black tie.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I know that some of them you have to be in the penguin suit every day, and everyone's got the ball gowns on and getting around all formal.
Yes.
It
totally
sounds like
not.
it's a lot more of a relaxed.
You will look very out of place if you walked in your penguin suit. It's a very, very informal. Even the dinner, which is sit down dinner, which is all booked in advance. It's just very, very informal.
Yeah,
that's
great.
Exactly the Norwegian style. It's a very, very authentic Norwegian hospitality experience.
Absolutely. And that leads us into the types of cabins on board. Being an expedition ship, I take it they're a little bit more in the simplistic fashion, but still, you've got your insides and balconies and things like that, I take it?
Yes, correct. So on board our 11 ships that does the Norwegian coastal voyage, we offer inside cabin for those who are a little bit more, budget conscious.
Sure. Yep.
You have, your outside cabins, then you've got suites as well. There are suites with balconies, or they're just suites as well. Majority of our ships, that if you are looking for, say, a double bed or a queen bed, you have to upgrade yourself to a suite.
Okay.
So generally, it's a berth style.
Sure. So it's twin berth.
Correct. Exactly. And similar with MS Fram as well, which does the
Absolutely.
expedition ship.
But I guess with all that beautiful scenery floating by, you'd want to have a nice balcony or a nice somewhere to sit and watch the world float by and enjoy yourself, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And the thing is that we offer a huge panorama deck on most of our ships.
Yeah.
So you won't even miss not having a
Yeah,
balcony.
so no
in
matter
the
what,
suite.
and I know that we've said it before, it's, an inside cabin, you're not spending the whole time in there, and being in so many ports, so many destinations,
Absolutely.
and having the beautiful panorama deck.
Absolutely.
You'll be in there to sleep, you'll be in there to have a shower and maybe change.
Absolutely.
And you'll be up and about.
I couldn't agree more. You're out in the panorama deck, or you're out in the top deck enjoying the scenery, and even when it's in peak of winter, you actually still, it's such a nice feeling wearing your down jacket and your nice snug boots, and you're still out in the top deck enjoying, and hopefully see the northern lights. But yeah, absolutely, people who want to start travel in comfort and style, of course, there's suites available. But other than that, we offer good amenities on board that can cater for everything.
Absolutely.
All modern amenities,
That's great. Types of people that it would suit. I know we've talked about, more destination focus and almost like an educational and expedition cruise. I guess if you had to put a bit of an age bracket or a bit of a demographic on it, where do you think Hurtigruten would sit?
Look, generally it's about 60 plus, but I don't like putting age bracket to a lot of our cruises, because it really is your mindset and who you are and what your objective is, what you want to achieve. If you're looking for an intrinsic value out of your voyage, then definitely Hurtigruten is something that can offer you, that. When you look at their Norwegian coastal voyages, summertime is, it's packed full of Europeans, and there are Europeans of different age groups that go on Hurtigruten. Hurtigruten is also used by the local community to go from one port to the other.
So it's like a ferry service as well.
Yes, absolutely. And so, there's all these different demographics of people, but somehow when people like to put a age bracket to it, then yes, reluctantly I would say, maybe 50 plus. But yeah, that's what it is. But people going to Antarctica as well, that's the normal age demographic of people traveling to Antarctica, not just on MS Fram, but just generally across the board going to Antarctica as well. And
like I say, I think it's to have a unique experience like that, you've got to come with an open mind.
Yes.
And you did mention that it's used as, the mail vessel still used as a ferry service in between towns. I think to be able to have such a unique experience like that is so special, and that's what Hurtigrutten's all about. It's something that you can't get anywhere else.
You can't.
And putting an age bracket or a demographic on it, I know we try and assist as much as possible, but you literally could, as long as you've come with that open mind, know what you want to be able to see. I know you mentioned Northern Lights before.
Yes.
It's a great way to be able to see the destination, isn't it?
Absolutely. 22 of our 34 ports above the Arctic Circle, and the only way to see Northern Lights is if you go beyond the Arctic Circle in the northern winter time, which is generally November through to March. So I was 30, and I'm giving my age here, but I was 35 when I went on Hurtigruten to see the Northern Lights, and I'm not 60. I wasn't 60, so it just tells you that anybody can go.
And you saw the Northern Lights?
Well, just a little bit, just a little bit. The good thing is actually when you're when you can tell your captain when you're checking in that you want to hear the announcements in your cabin.
Okay.
So in the middle of the night,
you'll get the little...
Yes, you will hear the captain announce, and all you do is just jump out of your berth and just run, run, for your life. And then you can go out and see, hopefully, the Northern Lights.
Wow, that's really special.
It's a very, very special thing. And it's, being a natural phenomena, you'd really have to count yourself lucky to be able to see
And
it.
I guess until you do actually get to see them, me personally, I've never gotten to see them, but I know it is a very, very popular type of travel style at the moment, is to get up into that Nordic region and to be able to see the Northern Lights, and to be able to do that, like you say, you've got someone keeping watch for you, ringing the alarm bell in the middle of the night. It makes it a lot easier rather than camping out in the cold and potentially not seeing anything at all.
Yes, exactly. Or one of those igloos or something like
that.
Yeah,
that's it. So that's an amazing chat that we've had. Mary, it's a very, very special product, and I think not only for me, I've learnt a lot, but I hope you out there watching as well have learnt a lot about Hurtigruten, because it is a very unique product, and I hope that we can get you all on board, pardon the pun, with Hurtigruten very soon. So thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
It's not that we don't enjoy visitors, it's just not that interesting, to be honest. Agree.
Well, life goes on, doesn't it? People come, people go.
Tourists. Who cares?
Well, I kind of like tourists. I think it's exciting.
Boring!
What?
Boat? Guys, boat!
It's finally here!
Guys, I think it's actually called a ship!
We're joined by Stephanie from Variety Cruises, who's got some fantastic news for us on a great cruise brand that some of you may not be very familiar with, because it is something that is, very different to your large ship cruising. So tell us a little bit about Variety Cruising.
Yeah, so Variety Cruising is indeed a very much a more niche product. We are talking here about small yacht ships. We have in total 11 ships. Okay. Some are really small, they're for charter only. So you just, let's say, 10 people on it.
So really small groups.
Yeah, really small. And the biggest one is 70 people. Okay. So, and the yachts are absolutely beautiful. They range from 3 to 5 star. And they are the major destination what we offer with those is Greece and Turkey. Sure. But we also have very exotic destinations. For example, we go through the Panama Canal with those ships. We visit the Seychelles, Cape Verde, Cuba. So really exotic places. But you can imagine with such a small ship, we can go right into the heart of each port. So you don't dock far out. You are right in the center. You can walk off and enjoy the destination straight away. Sure. And the major thing what I like about Variety is that we stay everywhere overnight. So you're not just kind of in and out and moving around all the time. You're actually overnighting, so you can get off and
have dinner in a local restaurant.
Exactly.
You can go and experience the smaller townships that you are getting into, and actually enjoy the destination rather than just being on the yacht the whole time.
That's right.
And yeah, getting into those destinations.
Exactly, because especially in Greece, you know, when you want to enjoy the Greek islands, there are many tourists, obviously, visiting. So let's say you go to Santorini, and most cruise ships, they are just there for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, very crowded, but with variety, you're the whole day there, and you stay overnight, so you can enjoy the island even then after everybody else has left. You can have dinner in Santorini in a local restaurant. So it's a completely different experience.
Yeah. And I guess the luxury of having a charter as well is that you are on your own time as well. So if you maybe thought, okay, maybe we'll go this way one day and move around a little bit and put together your own itinerary. It's a fantastic option like that.
Exactly. So if you charter the ship, you can really create completely your own itinerary. But the bigger ships, you don't have to charter them. You can just book a single cabin, and they have set itineraries and set departures.
Yeah. So those ones where you are on the set departures and the set itineraries, I know you mentioned, you know, the high number being around 70. With the types of cruises that are on those set departures, obviously, like you said before, we're doing the one-day stops and we're going in and overnighting. What is the typical duration of one of those itineraries that are on, you know, those set departures?
Usually 8-9 days.
Yeah, so it's
just over a week, and that's a good time to really experience the destination. We also have cruises from Athens to Istanbul, for example. So typically we combine Greece and Turkey, but we also have very, very nice itineraries in Croatia, for example. So these are places where you ideally want to stay as long as possible. Yeah. And we
those crystal blue waters and all that amazing scenery.
We can do ad hoc stops. You can jump into the water everywhere. We do swimming and snorkeling stops, have barbecues on board. It's a very personal, family-like atmosphere. Sure. So it's not one of your big cruise ships. It's very You get to know everyone, and you sit outside beautifully on the little veranda, have breakfast or dinner. So it's amazing, really.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah. And with the smaller ships and the cabin categories, I'm sure it's a little bit different to your larger cruise liners that are operating. How do the cabins work on some of these smaller ships, and obviously those scheduled departures as well?
Well, they're all outside, so you always have a window. And I've just actually seen some of the ships. I've just got back from Europe. Oh, wow. The cabins are very, very spacious, because you would think, oh, it's a small ship, so probably the cabins are very tiny.
Cabins.
Yeah, so absolutely not. The cabins are just as big as on the big cruise ships. They're really huge, and you have everything in there. You have a television, you have the fridge, you have air conditioning, which you can manually control.
So you still have the facilities of the big ship, but you've got that small ship, the intimacy, like you said before. You'll get to know the staff, you'll get to know everyone along the way, which will really personalise that experience for you.
Exactly. And you know how many people are also scared of, you know, the rough sea and whether they get maybe seasick or not? You also don't have that issue, really, because we are always overnight at the island in the marina, so you have basically no movement. So you have an amazing good night's sleep.
And I guess when you are moving around, like you say, you're doing it during the daylight hours, so you're probably in a smaller ship, you're hugging the coastline, so you can see the amazing scenery as you're going through, rather than having, you know, that large cruise overnight and you're like, okay, where am I now when you wake up?
Exactly.
You can actually go out and enjoy it and sit back and relax and see that amazing scenery flow by.
That's it, you wake up and you're right there in the destination already, and you're usually outside anyway as soon as you wake up.
I was about to say, with a small ship like that, you'd be outside, and especially in the Med in you know, a beautiful summer season, it'd be amazing to see that scenery flowing by.
Yes, absolutely.
Food and drink on board, how does it all work? Obviously, again, on a smaller ship, on those yacht style cruising, it is a little bit different. How does all of that work?
Well, for breakfast and lunch, it's usually buffet style, and then for dinner, it's a set menu. Okay. But on some of our Greece itineraries, we actually include only half board deliberately, so you can go to a local restaurant and have dinner without feeling guilty that you missed the food on the ship. So that's actually quite popular to book just half board.
I was about to say, I think that'd be the beauty of it, is that you could actually get off and not have to worry about, you know, racing back just in case the boat was going that night. you know that you've got the peace of mind that it will be waiting there for you when you get back. You can enjoy yourself, get out and enjoy the local culture, and not have to have that worry or stress or think, oh well, I've got it on board, I'll just have that on board, because you've got it there. Exactly. It gives you that freedom of choice of being able to say, you know, I've seen this local tavern and we maybe want to go and eat there, and I'm sure the staff as well would have little local tips and suggestions of places to go and see along the way.
Yes, you can also do, of course, shore excursions with us, but you are welcome to just explore the area by yourself, and that the crew is all from there, so they know the areas very, very well. So yes, they can give you lots of advice and recommendations.
Fantastic. So very, very unique product, and something that, you know, I know we mentioned it earlier for smaller groups and maybe large family groups who are travelling. I'm sure the product would be fantastic for those types of groups. But what would I guess if you had to pigeonhole a bit of a demographic of clientele on board, where would you kind of sit the product?
Well, for variety, the beauty is really that it targets any age group, but it is recommended that, let's say, if you do travel as a family, the children should be minimum 7 years old, yes. But then other than that, we have all age groups on board. I would say majority is probably 30 plus.
Yeah,
that's
so it is.
More, yes. But otherwise, it's really suitable for everyone. So that's the nice thing about those ships.
I think it's so unique being able to have that, almost that control over where you want to be able to go, and with some of those smaller itineraries, by having that personalised service, it's such a fantastic product for those who really want to have that small ship experience and have that time in port and still see a destination. Because with coach touring these days, you're doing the same itineraries on land. Why not do it on sea, do something a little bit different? And the inclusions by having your meals, like you say, with half board and things like that. It's very affordable, isn't it?
Exactly, especially in Greece, where I just came back from. The hotels are actually really, really expensive.
Yeah, they are.
And to do the island hopping with the ferry, it is very, very, quite time consuming and definitely quite costly. So to do that on a cruise is ideal, really.
Well, that's it, because you've got your transport included, you've got your hotel, you've got your room nights included, you've got majority of your meals included as well into one price. It's a fantastic option, and something that, you know, you may not always think about, but it is an option there for you to be able to do something different. And I can tell you that once you do come back from it, it'll be a unique experience that you'll never forget.
Yes, we have very positive feedback, really, of variety, because it's a totally different experience. And especially if you may not want to be on a ship with 3,000 people, then this is ideal, really.
Fantastic. So some great information there from Steph. So thanks for joining us. And I know that we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes' time for some updated information on a couple of other special brands as well. Welcome everyone, and thanks for watching today's TCTV, and we're joined today by Stephanie from Voyages of Discovery and Swan Hellenic Cruises. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
No worries at all. So a couple of brands that you out there may not be so familiar with, and that's why we've got the experts in with Stephanie to have a chat to us about it today. So tell us a little bit about the brands, because like I say, they may not be very familiar to people, not only in the Australian market, but even to people who are quite familiar with cruising. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Swan Hellenic and Voyages of Discovery, they are part of the same company, based in Britain.
Yep.
And what is really special about them is they are very destination focused.
Okay.
So we are talking here, each company has one ship. Swan Hellenic is the MS Minerva, and Voyages of Discovery is the MS Voyager. And we're talking here about 2 small ships. Okay,
so it's not like your massive big superliners, 4,000 or 5,000 people. These are really destination-focused cruise ships, aren't they?
They're very destination-focused because they are small ships. So we're talking here roughly 400 passengers.
Yep.
You can get right into the center of each port.
Okay.
We have many overnight stays even, so you really have long time in the destination, and you can actually often even spend the whole night there.
Absolutely.
And we are going to very unique itineraries.
Yeah, I was about to say, some of the places you visit are very special, aren't they? And that's, you know, probably one of the best things about it is that you do have that destination focus, and not just going to the big ports that some of the larger cruise operators are going to. You're getting into these destinations that not everyone has access to. So what are the types of destinations that that you're getting into?
So in European summertime, which is like April to November, we are really cruising everywhere in Europe.
Yep.
So we have the north, south, really every country almost we are covering. And in major cities like Edinburgh or Venice, Bordeaux, we are always staying overnight.
Sure.
And we also try to time it in with local events, which is really nice. So if you are, for example, in Edinburgh, you are there for Edinburgh Festival. So we stay overnight and you can enjoy the place there. Or for example, in Bordeaux, we are there for Bastille Day, so you can as well experience the fireworks.
Yeah, whenever all those special events are going on.
Exactly, so we pay attention to that. And in winter time, when it's getting cold in Europe, which is then roughly in November to the following year, March, that is where we are in the Caribbean and South America.
Yep.
Or what Voyages of Discovery is doing, this winter we are going to Asia.
Okay.
So we are visiting, we are going to through the Suez Canal, via Dubai, India, Sri Lanka.
Oh, wow.
We're going to Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Philippines, all that area basically.
Yeah, so a lot closer to Australia, which is great.
Exactly.
I know you've mentioned South America and the Caribbean and Europe. It's always that little bit step too far sometimes, but coming into Asia, it's really easy to be able to get a flight, a one-way flight, and have a look at the cruising that's on offer up there, which is a new ship that's going to be available.
Exactly, because Singapore is easy to reach. You can do pre and post packages as well, so it's actually very convenient.
Fantastic.
And one of the other major things about our two cruise lines is that you really learn about the destination as well, because we have famous onboard speakers.
So you're not just dropping people off somewhere and saying, go out and explore, you'll actually educate them on their destinations as well.
Exactly, yes. We have very famous speakers on board, and the onboard lectures are all included in the price. And they talk about the destination, about the history, the wildlife, the culture. So before you go to Machu Picchu, let's say, you actually know about the history of it. So that is very popular on our cruises.
Very good. And I know that we've talked about the destination, and the destination is really being the focus, but obviously we do need to talk about life on board the ships. And you did mention 400 people, that they are very much a smaller ship. What kind of facilities and what type of onboard experience would passengers be into if they were to obviously go on board one of the ships?
So aside from the onboard lectures, we also have many workshops on board that could, for example, range from yoga to painting or photography classes, dance classes. So there are lots of little courses offered like that, which are as well included in the price. When it comes to the entertainment, the evening shows, we have smaller shows. So it could be like... So
it's not a big grand theatres or anything like that.
It's not a huge Las Vegas Broadway show, but it is maybe then a classical concert, a stand-up comedian, after dinner talks. So we may invite famous politicians or actors.
It would always be topical to the destination and region you're in, isn't it, as well?
Yes, that's right. So you really learn more about that. So yeah, the target age group is, I would say, 50, 60 plus. So of course it's not, let's say, like your party ship, where you get all the young people partying, drinking a lot. So it's not that type.
So it's more of an education process, somewhere where people really want to be able to experience a certain destination or learn, like you say, from maybe a lecture or a particular topic that they want to be able to learn, and the history aspect of a destination is really where the product comes to the fore, isn't it?
Exactly, and relaxation is really important as well. So we have obviously a really nice spa and pool area. We have huge two libraries on each ship, so it's really a huge library, and there are lots of restaurants or lounges, so where you can really relax.
Sure. And cabin sizes, insides, outsides, balconies, all those terms that we're all coming to get used to. What are available on board?
Yeah, so we have obviously all those categories. The majority is outside and balcony cabins. And minimum you have 13 square meters, so they're very spacious
so quite
and
roomy.
Bright.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And everything what you need is obviously in your cabin. And the suites are even bigger, they're up to 34 square meters.
So still accommodating for those passengers that still want to go into one of those premium level cabins. There's still options available. You're not just stuck into some of the smaller cabin categories.
No, absolutely. You can get a much bigger cabin.
And food on board, always a hot topic. What's the type of dining experience going to be like? You mentioned before a couple of restaurants and things like that. What's a typical dining experience on board like?
So for breakfast and lunch, we usually typically have a buffet, which we serve, and dinner time you can choose between buffet and a la carte.
Sure.
And we have 2 restaurants, 2 major restaurants, and one is a little bit more elegant dress code, and the other one is very casual.
Yeah,
so
you
can
still
always
can have your
choose
formal.
between. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's a big thing, I think, with a lot of people. I think cruising, and I think some of the more mature styled cruising, I think, you know, am I going to have to dress up in the penguin suit every night and put the big frock on? But it's good to know that there is options there if you did want to have more of a relaxed evening.
Exactly.
That you can maybe go to the buffet, and if you want to have your nice formal night, that there's that option there as well.
Yeah, so for everyone really we cater that. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So lots to learn about with the 2 brands there, and it's an amazing product. So if you do have any more questions, definitely do ask your travel counsellor, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. But I just want to say thank you for joining us today, Stephanie. It's been a great little chat.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Yeah, and please let us know if you have more questions.
Absolutely. So thanks to everyone for watching.